everyone, and welcome to today's Cashflow Digital, where you might be delighted to hear that Mike's not with us today. So,
Mike's delighted.
So we might be able to do a quick fire Q&A session today.
Yeah, load them up.
Yeah, load up the questions. Before that, though, check out Odys if you're interested in age domains. I've said it a million times. Check them out if you want that £100 bonus, which is always good. So do check that out. We do have Mr. Mullins, Fred Hutterson, Eco Peep. Good evening, folk. Mr. Paul Hogden. Has Mike run out of 50p's? Something like that.
Dude, I know he's setting himself up. He's trying to tell me he has COVID again or something.
I was only joking. Like, has he actually got COVID again?
That's what he says. He's been getting. It's funny because I was talking to one of our head SEO techs on crew, and he's like, he's sick again. I was like, yeah, I don't think it's COVID. I was like, he was getting sick like this before. I think it's wherever he lives, he gets fucking sick more than the average person. I was something. They've broken loose something in the mines that seeped into the water or something. Like I remember he lived at a house one time. They lived in it while they were renovating it, and he was working in the basement and shit, and he was sick like every week. I was like, dude, is it mold? Find out it's fucking mold, you know, shit like that. So while they're renovating it and kicking up all that shit, it's I hate being sick. Kelsey's more like that. That's why, like, I feel better when I work out and, you know, eat somewhat healthy, drink a lot of tequila. That'll kill everything. That might be his issue. He doesn't drink tequila anymore. So
he doesn't drink at all anymore, does he?
No, not at all. So
yeah,
good.
That's an issue.
Yeah. So I drank a bunch of tequila last night, so I should be good. Chili. Do they have chili over there in the UK? Do you make like chili? Yeah. Fucking made the first chili of the season. Got a new I call it a Dutch oven. Not where you fart under the covers, but like not that one.
Whole different meaning here.
Yeah, it's got that too. Yeah, I've got like the original one, you know, and it made some chili last night. Got a shit ton left over. For anyone that wants to come over and eat some chili, I've got extra. So.
Oh man, get over there, Greensboro people.
Yeah. Got some chili. Yeah, and crash at my place. Chili and tequila.
Did they get a Dutch oven with the chili?
The next day, yeah, you might get sprayed a little if I eat too much chili and drink too much tequila. You know, so that's anyway. We're getting off topic. What's the show about? SEO or something?
SEO or something. Anything you want, guys. Ask as many questions as you want because we don't have Mike here interrupting us and any of that stuff. So any questions, especially to poor Brad, because Brad, I'm not going to say it actually, but you seem like the guy that does a lot of the work behind you and Mike.
No, we've got our SEO team. They honestly do a lot of the legwork now. It's just the difference between me and Mike is Mike is up here, so I have to figure out what the fuck Mike is saying and bring it down to earth for like the average human like me, and make it like more rational. So it's like more of an order of operations type of thing. So it's just the way our minds work.
Mike's like me, like scatterbrain, fucking insane. Like I could be thinking of 50 different things and I start a little bit of this and then I'm over here and then fucking nothing.
Yeah, I get like that. It's like 50 different things, but then all of a sudden it's like, you know, and then I you know, if I've got something to get done, I put on the noise canceling headphones and fucking work, you know.
But yeah, you seem a little more structured than Mike.
I have to be, or it's either 100% one way or 100% the other way with me. So I can't be in between anywhere. So,
and Eco Peep is saying, I might understand what you're talking about now that Mike's not here. So productivity goes up through the roof. So ask any questions.
Yes. Yeah. Eco Pete. Can I call him Pete instead of Peep?
Yeah. Call him.
Eco Pete. All right, Pete. What I would ask you first with the Odys domain is, can you use the old content? Because the very first thing I like to do, and I don't have them do it, I'll send it to my designer, and all of the Odys domains have a solid way back foundation of content. So theoretically, you should be buying content that will provide a nice a site that has good content that's, you know, you're not shifting it too much, because you want to get niche domains anyway. And correct me if I'm wrong at any point, or if you disagree, Craig, but I like to grab all of the old content. One, because it's relevant to the site, to the niche. Two, because it's fucking free. And three, I don't have to think about it. So get all of the content you can from the original site, get it up, make sure it starts indexing. Hopefully it's useful enough that you can just leave it there long term, but get it up, get it indexed. Then you don't have to like sit there with a blank WordPress site for like months on end, which I don't like to do. So I'll, as soon as they transfer it to my account, I'll send it over to Drew, my web guy, and say, okay, restore all you can. Here's a theme that I want you to use, because I'll update the theme because a lot of the times it's older. Here's the theme I want you to use. The primary goal of this site is to X, Y, and Z. It could be to drive affiliate sales. So I'm going to have him do something different on that. It could, most of the time with me, it's a PPL site. So it's okay. I want this number button here. Here's the number. I want it here, here, and here, you know, add a pop-up. I want these motherfuckers to call this number. Here's what I want on the design, restore the old content, let it sit, let it get indexed, see what comes back, see how the rankings go. And then, going forward from there, then I'll start to develop a content plan and start generating, you know, it's just the content plus linking at that point, now that that base is there. And then over time, it's going to, you know, generate more and more traffic and hopefully revenue for you.
I think for me, what you said, you know, I wouldn't disagree with any of it. I think the most important thing you said, though, is one, it's free content. And two, it means you don't have to think about it. And I think having that foundation where you've then got something that potentially comes back and gets a bit of traffic and a bit of this and a bit of that, for you then to go in with a strategic mind saying, right, we need to add this, we need to add that, we need to add that. So you've got a foundation to work from. And if it's a free foundation, free content that's totally relevant to your niche, then I think that is the biggest thing, creating all those old URLs and getting all the old link juice and everything else flowing again from any kind of broken links that were previously there. So I think that's the biggest part of the process. And sometimes people rush it and say, yeah, I flung it up a few weeks ago and the rankings have not returned. You know, sometimes I do it like what you say, you know, you've got a developer or whoever and you give them it over and it might sit for a few months and then you jump on it, you're ready to jump on it. And I think just letting that bit of time come into play is massive. But David Hennessy, will that old content actually rank over time, or is it just filler content? So when you're doing this, what are you finding is happening?
Well, it depends on, in my opinion, if it was ranking before. You know, if you go into SEMrush or Majestic or something and look at the historic rankings on there and it wasn't ranking for a ton of stuff back in the day, then more than likely you're going to need to do something to that content. You can actually go through it with cognitive, fill out that content more once you get it indexed. It's kind of a phase 1 versus phase 2 type of thing. So if it was ranking before, you'll see a lot of those come up. And then you build, what I like to do is a lot of people, especially back in the day, would build these pillar posts, like the primary cluster piece of content. Like whether it's a skyscraper, it has that much content, or it's just like it's for a primary keyword. So like it would be opiate rehab, or rehab for opiate abuse or something like that on a substance abuse. And that's all they did was that one fucking article on opiate abuse or opiate overdose or withdrawal or whatever, but they didn't build out all the other stuff, you know. So what I like to do is I'm going to go in and build out all the other stuff to push the primary article, because obviously they didn't know what they were doing, or they got lazy, or you know, what have you. They just saw all these other rehab facilities going out and building this content, so they built the exact same content, didn't build out the rest of the cluster. So one, it can be filler. It can be, you know, hub pages that, like, especially if it has pre-existing links. But I consider it a phase one. See if it ranks, see if it does well, and then go back in and optimize it. It's the O in SEO, you know, continuous optimization. So
here's a question that I just want to see if you've tested this or seen anything. What if some dirty motherfucker like Mike Pierce, we'll just use him as an educational hypothetical example. What if some dirty motherfucker like Mike had come in and grabbed all of that content and shoved it on a new domain name?
That's where it gets difficult. I mean, I would throw it in if it's getting indexed and getting the rankings back. Google might be able to tell that it was the original poster of the content, you know, because that's big. Like if you look at watch any of the, have you watched the follow the Quantum Newswire guys at all? Like that. So their big thing is their media page. So typical press release, it goes out to all these different syndication sites and then goes back to your site. Their big thing is they want to provide a media room. They post it to that page first, so Google sees it indexed on that page first and then out to the rest of the media. So it's kind of backwards from everyone else. And they say it helps. It probably does. But it's kind of the same idea. So I would throw it up, see if it goes live. If it's not indexing well at all, and you've done everything you know to do to, you know, kickstart indexing, you know, submit it into GSC, submit your sitemap, maybe even link to it a little bit, and it's still not indexing, then I would say you have an issue at that point. I'd probably go in and at the very least run it through Quillbot to paraphrase it, make it different, and then start adding on content at that point.
I was going to say, would that kind of be resolved if you were running into that problem by your phase two?
Yeah.
And adding to it and shit like that.
Yeah, that would most definitely help it. Yeah. Actually, a quick warning for everyone that does use Quillbot. I know we suggest that quite a bit. It was funny because we are having trouble getting, because I wanted to get some phase one stuff up. We got a new client, a good sized client, but their primary, for their primary terms that were the GMVs we're feeding into, I wanted to get that content up. So I went through and I grabbed a donor article, ran it through Quillbot and everything. And I was lazy that day. So I didn't like piece together multiple articles and everything, threw it up. A week later, it wasn't fucking indexing. I linked to it from the main nav. I linked to it from the homepage. I linked to it from a few different pages within the sites that had links and everything. I submitted it to GSC, all of that stuff, not fucking indexing. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So then the tech is like, hey, did you copy it from this guy? Like word for word. And he posted an article, and I didn't run it through like Copyscape or anything. He posted an article. So this other guy and I grabbed this, we were both lazy, grabbed the exact same article, threw it through Quillbot. It produced the exact same content. So it was 100% dupe from this other guy. So that's why it wasn't indexing. So what we did was we ran it back through Quillbot, like the same content, back through Quillbot again, added some more content and indexed like within a day or two. So yeah, it most definitely does work.
Interesting. Guys, do make sure you keep the questions coming in the live chat. There was something I was going to ask you there on that whole topic, and it completely went out of my head, and I can't even remember what it was. But yeah, I think you don't have to overthink it. I think if you've got that, you know, multiple phase process where you're adding stuff, you know, using Quillbot and everything, you're going to eliminate a lot of these problems. And I think many people I know who buy an Odys domain name always sit there and they're like, what if or what would you? And, you know, and then you say, like, go and grab all the old content, and they're like, but what if someone else has already stolen that? And they just sit.
There's a lot of what ifs in SEO.
Yeah. And you're just like, nah, just throw it out and see what the fuck happens.
You'll know. Yeah. You'll know if something's up, you know. We know the good thing about the Odys domains is we know they're clean. Like it's been through their scrubbing process. So it's not like if you went out and bought just an expired domain and you threw it up and it wasn't indexing. Well, it could be the backlink portfolio. It could be that it's got a spam filter on it. It could be the content. With Odys, if you throw up the old content, it's not a spam thing. It's not this. It's not that. It's got to be that someone fucking more than likely ripped content from way back. So
yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people are doing that, but I think also you've got to take into account Odys and stuff have a very structured process.
Yeah,
you're looking for stuff. So hopefully they are eliminating a lot of the problems whilst they're looking for that. But you cannot legislate for SEO cowboys like us who like free content and rip everything we can possibly
It is
get.
nice to have that free content. The best way for me to build out a network is go out and find all these old rehab facilities that are, you know, defunct, they're gone, and they've got like all this content on that. I'm like, oh, fucking sweet. So I used to go through and like before I would send it over to the developer, I would just like copy and paste it onto the page. Like it's like the goofy ass WordPress theme, like just a basic WordPress, like one of the free ones. And I was just sitting there fucking copying and pasting it. Spend a day doing that and get the content up, and it would rank. And then I would throw something like this was back in the day, I haven't used it in a while, something like SERP Shaker or similar, like Mass Page Creator, and just fucking blast out like 30,000 pages, and then it ranked like fucking crazy, you know. So
madness. And by the way, I've just remembered what I was going to say, and in my mind, that word you used, donor article. I'm fucking feeling that. That is class.
Nice. Yeah.
Donor article.
Donor article. That's what you throw into Quillbot and get a spin.
Yeah. I'm using that line. Next presentation, donor articles getting thrown about there.
There you go.
But I've got a question whilst the guys are counting up their questions for Brad. So guys, put your questions in the chat, whatever you want to ask him, pick his brains, we'll abuse him today. So I want to know, you obviously do a lot of paper leads, not something I've done a huge amount of, to be honest. I just want to know, when these calls are being answered, do you have your own call center? Like, because I know guys that do paper leads here and they actually have their own call center, you know, thinking these leads and warming them up and all that kind of stuff. What are you guys
That
doing?
would be the next level from what I do. I don't typically do that. What I do is I'll work with the people that have the call center. So if it's a private deal, like the rehab facility will have their own call center. Like I've visited their call centers, and like you walk in, you've seen The Wolf of Wall Street, the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like you walk in and like imagine how that like the air is in there. That's what it's like. And you've got these people trying to fucking close, you know, people calling in for addiction and shit like that. And like, it's funny because if someone can't, because it's a big decision. Like you're going to leave your family for like a month, you know, at least most of the time. If it's detox, it's 2 weeks. But a minimum of 2 weeks, you're going to leave everything, you know. You know your shit's fucked up because you've got this substance problem. So there's a huge barrier for them to get through it. So I've like, they'll pass it off to like the head dude in charge, and he'll like throw on the headset and like try and close them if they're having trouble closing. But yeah, it's typically what I'm dealing with is they have their own call center. I just want to focus on generating the call flow and leads and stuff like that. If I had to set up my own call center, what I'll do is I'll use an answering service. You know, they're out there. They're not cheap anymore, but get someone like, there's a shit ton based in Utah for whatever reason. Mormons must love to run call centers. But yeah, they'll go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one other question I wanted to ask you on this whole topic was, do you get paid per lead, like $20, whatever, or do you say to the guys, on average, you get 100 leads a month from us, so you're going to be paying for 50. You know, we're just going to have a kind of 50%. You know, that's what you're going to be paid for. How do you actually work that?
It's for the most part, most of the time, and I want to make billing and everything else aside from me. I want to make everything as simple as possible, but I want to focus all my time and energy into generating the properties, generating the calls, doing all that stuff. So I don't want to worry about it. I want to download my call reel report, sift through it, remove anything that's not past the hurdle point, like typically a time basis, where that's 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever it is. And I want to dedupe it and send them an invoice. So my favorite type of offer is a raw call. A raw call is like, okay, a call comes in, you get paid 30 seconds. A lot of the rehab offers you see with the networks and all that stuff, you're going to see, you know, they're paying $300 a call, and you get like someone new into PPL or whatever sees that, and they're like, yeah, I want the 300. I don't want the $40 call. But I know from experience, everything is a lot easier, and everything is going to smooth out if you go with the raw call for the 40, because you're going to make it up in volume. So I typically 90% of the time go raw call. You've got some networks that will offer what they call is rev share, like a rev share model, but that basically means based on conversion, you're going to get paid a little bit more, but it's based on conversion. So say you download their sheet, and it's a network, and it says $100 per lead, and it's a 50-50 rev share split. That means you get $50, they get $50 for every conversion, but I don't have to worry about the call center or anything like that. So yeah. I much prefer that. With Rehab, that's actually, from a legality standpoint, it's you have to do it that way because you can't technically pay a company per admit. You can't really pay them. You're not supposed to pay them per VOB, which is verification of benefits. So it just raw call is much easier. And don't get tempted. Like if you're getting into the substance abuse niche, don't get tempted by the $300, $400 3-minute calls, because what you're going to see, you're going to get very pissed off when you have a day and you see a bunch of calls that are like 2 minutes and 55 seconds that don't convert, because you can tell that they're rushing to get off the phone because they don't want to pay you the $300. So a day that should have been like a $2,000 day ends up being like, a $300 day at best, a lot of the time. So networks are scammy though, but they've got to make the numbers work for themselves. So it's kind of understandable, but raw call if I can.
And if anyone out there is watching, would you recommend the Rehab niche as one that they can enter? Because everyone knows. Yeah.
I would.
Is that still doable for people?
It's very doable. The reason I like that niche, and the reason why I've dug down into it so much, is because you can go national. So you can go after like broad level keyword terms, and there's so many. So say if I were sitting down and doing initial keyword research for substance abuse, I wouldn't go drug rehab treatment center. I wouldn't go, alcohol rehab or even inpatient alcohol rehab. I would be looking at getting more granular, and there's so many different things. Imagine how many different just subset it would be opiate rehab or opiate treatment, opiate detox, opiate withdrawal. Imagine how many different opiates there are to get hooked on, essentially. Because you go to the doctor, you might get something different every time. And you get used to taking that one thing, like say you throw your back out, and you get used to taking that one thing. And that's where people get into the pill mill type of situations and shit like that. And these doctors are prescribing the fuck out of it, not caring about the results. So they get hooked on these various specific medications that you then can use as content and dig into that. So if you're thinking of it from a traditional, like a silo perspective, like opiate would be the top silo or the pillar piece of the content. And then you've got all these supporting articles that are all the different opiates. You can do the same thing with benzos. You can do alcohol. You can dig into that pretty deeply. This is just keep going and going and going. There's so many different kinds of treatment. There's Christian treatment. There's holistic treatment. The amount of keywords that you can go after and that you can keep digging into is, I'm not going to say infinite, but it's pretty fucking close for like a group of people to do. And then you think about, that's national level, right? Then you think about, I can take all of this shit to a local level as well. So I can take it times 30,000 pages per individual national level keyword, and you can build out directories. And then that's where you get into the network building, and you just fucking go manic on it and just keep building. You can keep building. I could keep building in substance abuse every day and never run out of shit to do, So
take over the whole fucking niche is what
you
want.
You could. Yeah. It would take a little bit, you'd need a team, but yeah.
You think of the size of America, all the localities.
Yeah.
God knows that, the the world is your oyster. But I was just curious to know if it was still doable.
I would, but where people are going to get in trouble is they're going to go after the obvious fucking keywords. Don't do that. Do your homework up front and then dig into that. Actually, I generate quite a few marijuana addiction treatment called CBD cakes, so somewhat similar. The thing with marijuana is good because it's typically the parents calling in for the kids because they found a bunch of weed in their kids' shoebox or something, and they want to send them to treatment, and the parents have a job and have insurance, and the kids are still on the parents' insurance, so they can send them in. It's a more of a lay down than a lot of times. Marijuana addiction treatment is a good keyword if you want to dig into that for anyone that's interested.
Have a look at it, people. They guys are making a fortune from it, so
yeah,
why
not?
All right. Yeah, you guys are fucking killing it, man.
It's funny because a large portion of the people in the niche, in the substance abuse niche, had that issue. Like I was working with a marketing agency that strictly focused on substance abuse treatment. They were white labeling to us. So we were taking 50%, they were taking 50%, they would manage the clients. All we had to do was shit out articles. So I was talking to him one time. I said, did you go to rehab? Because the way he talked and everything, he's like, yeah, I did. What was your drug of choice? He's like, well, it was alcohol. I would drink like a fifth or two a night and then follow that up with like a 24 pack of beer and shit like that. I was like, holy fuck. And this was not a big guy. Not like the size of Mike, like a Sasquatch or something. I was like, oh shit. So yeah, he got into that. It's funny what people get into after that though, because it's all about like a dopamine fix. So they all replace it with something else. And the dude's going to end up having to go to video game addiction treatment at some point because he was, every time I call him, he'd be on Fortnite when it first came out. So, but anyway, yeah, it's a good niche.
Yeah. So Craig Mullins, go and check it out. Research is the key.
Yeah, just start taking heroin, and then you'll be there quicker than probably most things. So,
but Glenart has a question here. I have a list of backlink URLs and contact emails and contact pages, and an outreach letter. Do you know of a service or company that can get me these backlinks?
Honestly, I don't do a ton of outreach. I have staff do it. I'm not sure how they generate it because Mike manages them for the most part, but outreach has always been something that I've stayed away with. I would rather just go out and purchase the outreach, and not have to worry about any of that. It's just from a time perspective for me. I don't know if you've done it, Craig, but I have not.
I mean, we have done it in the office. I'm not personally going. Well, I have done it in the past as well, but I think most people would use a pitch box or a tool that can automate a lot of these functions.
Yeah.
So you can input the URLs, set up pitch box, do your automatic follow-ups, and just try different angles in terms of trying to acquire those backlinks. Use different personas. So you can use something like Pitchbox to do that on a professional level. There are cheaper options such as BuzzStream. You can even go as cheap as using Mailshake. If you can scrape the email addresses of those pages and then put them into Mailshake and then set up a marketing campaign where you can do automated follow-ups and stuff. So you can use that. I'm not sure of a service that would do your outreach for you. I'm pretty sure there probably is one, but most people who sell links would tend to do a whole bunch of outreach, and you're paying per link rather than paying to use your outreach letter, because who's to say your outreach letter is going to work? And I don't mean any disrespect by that, but you know yourself, Brad. People in this industry use fake personas. Some people tend to be females because they'll get a better response from.
I remember. Back when I worked with Josh Earp a lot. I don't know if anyone remembers him, but he told me one time, he's like, you know why I always make my profiles female? It's like because people will respond to them better. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So
I mean, if you're sending that to a whole bunch of guys that own plumbing businesses and shit, you're going to get flirted with.
Yeah.
And you know, that's just a common thing. So
what, Craig, you're more, you're dirtier than I am. What is the point in all these guys obviously sending me fake profiles of the women, scantily clad women, the naked women, or not naked because it's Facebook, but you know, so-and-so has added you and I can look at it on my phone. It's like, that's fake, but I'll check it out and I'll click it. You know, look at what's the end game there? Any idea?
I think it's just someone educating really bad practice, because I also get that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fake persona all day long.
Yeah.
I don't want, because the minute you fucking accept, do you need guest posts, sir? You know, that's exactly.
Well, it's not even, it's like just the string bikini naked chicks. Like I've been to a few of the profiles. It's like, check me out live on this. I assume they want you to sign up for some kind of porn thing, but yeah. I can't imagine how many people are signing up for that. Maybe there's enough out there, but it's like, it's obviously fake. But
there's Mullen saying they keep asking him to pay for their cell phone bill to send them dirty pictures.
You know what's funny is because I buy a bunch of old Gmails and stuff like that. So if you buy the aged Gmails, it's funny to see what they sign up for. I had one. It was a shit. They had to have been on some dating app, or I don't know where they got the Gmail, but it's boobs galore. And that, like, going through the email chains, I was like, what in the fuck? It's like a bunch of like naked selfies and stuff like that, like in there. And then Craig, he kept emailing that email that one time. Craig Mullins did. He said, yeah, he kept sending me D pics, and he didn't know it was me. He thought it was Cherry. But I mean, ask him about Cherry next time you see him.
Yeah. Have you got anything you want to say in your defense?
You're talking to Cherry right now, Craig.
It's madness, but nah, I think whoever's educating this stuff, I just think these guys are, a few years out of touch. That shit might have worked, 5 years ago, but
back in '99 or something.
Yeah, it's not working now. Definitely not.
Yeah.
But there you go. Michael Likens remembers Josh the Magician though. So yeah.
Oh yeah, he was a magician. He was a magician and a hypnotist. Now he's in Hollywood or something. I don't know. He's cool dude. I went and hung out with him for like a whole week one time. Went down to his place in I think it's like Southern Illinois or something. Bumfuck like city. Just hung out with Josh for like a whole fucking week. He would take a pic. He would smoke weed and we would do SEO. He's like, "You want any weed?" "No, thank you." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna show you this. But first, let me take a pitch it," and then he like light his shit. It was an odd experience. Good weed though.
Interesting. Guys, we do have 25 minutes, so make sure you put more of your questions.
I can sit here and stare for 25 minutes straight if no one wants to post anything.
We've got more questions.
Anyway. There we go.
But keep them coming, everyone. Because you don't want to hear us chatting shit or staring or.
Yeah, we can just start telling stories about like shenanigans at the events or past experiences, and that might get the video banned pretty quickly.
We don't want that to happen.
Yep.
So Hassan is saying, what do you think about AI content writing tools? Can Google or will Google be able to catch AI written content?
Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying with the Quillbot stuff earlier. You'll run into the same issue. So just be careful of it. It does work. We do use it quite a bit, but it's phase 1 content. So you're the idea or the point behind phase 1 content is you want to get that out there. You want to get pages in the index. You want to see how those pages respond, and then you go back and optimize said pages further. But yeah, it's perfect for phase 1 content, or if you just have, network sites that you're really not watching, then why not use it? I'm training up a team of guys to go out and only do phase 1 content, copy, this, go to Google, search for the main term, mix and match the various articles that are ranking for that, throw those through Quillbot, and then throw that on the site. And I want it to be, automatic for me, and I won't have to worry about it. But that's my version of AI content, kind of paraphrasing. So,
yeah. you've got to go with that. Quillbot, as Michael Lycan says, chef's kiss. I wasn't blowing anyone a kiss there, just a chef's kiss.
It's blowing me a kiss. Yeah, I would most definitely go for the Quillbot Premium. It's only what, $15-$14 a month or something like that, and you don't have to sit there and copy and paste multiple content blocks in there. Just that it makes it worth it.
Exactly. Try it out if you haven't. Quillbot. In fact, I'll tell you the exact. In fact, I'm not going to tell you the exact because I'll tell you the exact in a second. There's about to click on the Quillbot. Quillbot.com is the URL.
Yeah.
If you've not checked it out. Normally when I click on one of my favourites in my favourite bar, it takes me fucking off the stream, which is very stupid of me. But there you go. But here is a question from Craig Mullins. Have you had any of those blackmailing messages on either by email or on Facebook where they basically say, dude, I've got pictures of you jerking off and all this stuff. If you don't want it to go out to your friends and family, then cough up.
I tell them go for it.
I've
seen Black Mirror. They can do it. It's not going to bother me. I'll send it now. I said me too. I send it to them all the time. Merry fucking Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving. Here's a check. No, it doesn't bother me at all. Go for it.
Oh man. EcoPeep, if you're building mini nets, do you host on all separate accounts, different Google search consoles and all of that stuff?
Yeah, if I'm not tying them together as one brand, then I'll have them on separate accounts. I mean, that goes into the entity build as well. I mean, I'm going to order an entity for most, if not all of them anyway, and then I have a Google account for that anyway. As far as hosting, I've used Microhost, MICRAHOST.com for years, and they make it easier. What they've done is gone out and set up a bunch of like smaller hostings, but you can run it all from one dashboard. So Microhost is a good solution for mini nets. I've got shit on Microhost that's ranking for some solid ass keywords. I actually had a friend of mine that's in the niche as well. He's like, are you ranking for such and such Texas? Yeah, that's my site. He's like, dude, you're fucking everywhere. I was like, yeah, it does all right. I did that. It's hosted on Microhost. I threw up some spun content and then put Blackwood on it, and away we go. So
away we go. Right enough. That's what you want. So try it out, EcoPeep. Do shoot up a message to Brad if you're interested in finding out more about Blackwood.
Yeah. Go to should be nfgsecret.com, or it's in minionettraining.com as well. That information. So I would check out minionettraining.com. I think I mentioned Microhost in there. I give out a few different hosting solutions. If Microhost isn't one of them, it should be. It's free training though, so what the fuck are you gonna do?
Exactly. Now, talking about other things, because you've got your finger in a lot of pies, so to speak. How is Infinite 360 going?
Fuck if I know. Ask Mike. I don't care. That would be a Mike question. He's working on it. I think he's working on the dev and all that stuff. So I try not to get involved in dev because I get frustrated with what I call a dev loop. So yeah, I try not to be involved in that shit. I'll have input at the top, and then Mike and the crew do a very good job of shitting that stuff out, making because it gets overcomplicated quick, and my caveman brain can't handle it. So
let these guys do what they've got to do, and when it's ready, we will be the first ones to share it out all over the internet. So Michael is looking forward to it. EcoPeep, I've emailed you, Brad. It's Diaper Person here. Anything you want to tell us, guys?
Yeah, I that must have gone to spam or something. Yeah, hit me up on Skype, EcoPeep. I respond better to Skype than I do email, to be honest.
Mike's like that as well. That must be an American thing. Mike talks to me regular on Facebook and stuff, and he's like, dude, like, we need to do a voice call. Like, fine. get me on Skype, and I'm like, I don't fucking do Skype, but yeah, it must be.
I think it's a me and Mike thing for the most part. I think we started using it. I like that better than Facebook or anything else. Well, the problem with Facebook is I get fucking distracted and like I'm on like scrolling for an hour or something. So Skype is precise, and I can shit it out.
It's probably good. I had to make a new Skype with a fake name.
Yeah.
Normally I had my Skype name is @Campbell SEO.
Yeah.
And I've got every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Oh, that fucking sucks. Yeah.
And then you log in, and then ping, 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 all these.
Yeah. Oh, it stress you out. Yeah, I used to be working, and it's when I had notification. Like I've got all the notifications shut off on my phone on Skype because I check it enough anyway. But I would be working, and it would be like you even if you had your sound off, you would see that like Skype shit going on, like the thing, and like you're like I would like right click, close all the way, and be done with it. Slack, I fucking hate that. You use Slack in your?
Nah, I hate shit like that, man.
I hate Slack. It's popping up, and I can't figure Slack out. I'm an idiot, but
I'm pretty old school. Like,
yeah,
I can't. Too much stuff gets me all, as you say, distracted and stressed out. So I try and keep my shit to a minimum in terms of how people connect with me. But Facebook's one of those ones. I still manage my own Facebook account, so I do that. But I've got people that clean up my inbox, email inbox, and everything. So
that works.
You've just got to try and keep your window of opportunity, because you've got WhatsApp, you've got text.
Oh shit! I didn't realize EcoPeep was. Yeah, I know who EcoPeep is now. Sorry.
So the diaper person never.
I'll check my email about the diaper person.
Please tell me he sells diapers and he's not like the guy wearing diapers.
Yeah, it's not a man actually. EcoPete is not a man. But yeah, it's children's stuff. No, not children's stuff. Selling the diapers, and I don't want to go down. Yeah.
As long as it's not a guy or a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's Mike in a bonnet and with a rattle. Yeah,
because that's what I've got in my head just now.
That'll haunt your nightmares. Yeah,
not that. But away from diapers, back to Stefan.
To an extent, I mean, it's got to be like what 50 to 70% unique. Aside from that, I really don't care. As long as it gets indexed and starts ranking, then we're good. That's what I check up for. I don't necessarily check it directly for plagiarism. So it's paraphrased, so it's not really plagiarized. Within reason. If you're worried about it, like I said, grab a paragraph from here, or the thing I've been doing a lot recently is I'll have an article outline. Okay, so it's just like the headings. So you've got your main topic, then your H2, H2, H3, H3, H2, all the way down. And then I will run a separate search for each of those and come up with a paragraph or two of, copy and paste that into Quillbot and then back into my Word doc. And then by the time I get all the way finished with that, I've got a very nice article at that point. It's like 1,000 to 1,500 words, and run it through Cognitive, and 70-80% of the time I don't even have to touch it in Cognitive. It's already solid in that regard, and throw it up, and it ranks well. I actually did that last week. I did like a pillar type article, and it's already popping in like the 40s for some national level rehab keywords. So solid shit.
Good stuff. Guys, please do give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. If you're a hater, give it a thumbs down. Engagement's engagement, so either way is good for us, but preferably a thumbs up. Question from Adam: for generating content, what situations would you recommend hiring an agency versus hiring a writer? In your opinion, of course.
I mean, we typically have writers anyway, so it's just from a volume perspective, how many they need. If you hire an agency, they're going to have writers and shit like that. So it's, do you want to manage versus do you want to pay a little bit more and have them manage? It's just preference and based on your current needs. So, but it's going to get to a point where you need to hire a writer if you keep going. So
yeah, I think I think you retain an element of control when you've got your own writers.
Yeah.
That you're not necessarily going to get with, and you know, the training and stuff. You could use an agency. You spend a bit of time with that writer, and then 2 weeks later they're fucked off. So I think there's pros and cons all over that.
Yeah. Well, we've hired a lot of writers in the past, and we actually we hired someone specifically for substance abuse one time, and I showed her how to use Cognitive, and she had a bachelor's in literature, so she knew her shit. She overthought stuff a little much, but it's funny because the place that she was working, she was getting paid like $12-13 an hour with a 4-year degree, which I thought was horrid, but apparently that's the going rate for an English degree. So she was all kinds of excited. I showed her how to use Cognitive. So we'd get a new client on, and her primary objective, I would run Screaming Frog, get every page on there, delete all the ones I didn't want her to go through, give her a list. I'm like, okay, mark them off as you go, or highlight them a different color or whatever. So she would go through all of them, run through them with Cognitive, make sure that they're, you know, scoring high enough in Cognitive for the whole site. I said, okay, let me know when you're done with all of it. I'm gonna run like the site, rerun the sitemap, run like the hub pages and everything through, or the pages I really want to rank. And we were seeing fucking amazing results, like 100% traffic increase in a month, 40% traffic increase in a month just from doing that. The problem with her was we got her all trained, and she knew she was doing a fantastic job. And I like positive reinforcement, but at a certain point, I found that you provide too much positive reinforcement, and then someone gets it in their head. They're like, why the fuck are you only paying me X amount? Well, this is double what you're making at your full-time job. Yeah, but I want more now. Okay, fuck off, you know? And then I don't, so yeah, that's a problem, especially stateside. If you're trying to hire like US based writers and stuff like that I found is they get a big head very quickly. And you know where she ended up working after, because she quit her job and then tried to strong arm me for more money. And you know where she ended up working after? Olive Garden.
Jeez.
Because she couldn't find a writing job. So, but anyway, that's my horror story for content writers. She did a fantastic job, but I'm not going to be bullied into paying more money when we have an agreement. So,
yeah. And by the way, Eco Peep, Pete is the husband.
Ah, there we go.
There you go. So this is the wife.
Eco Peep told me she wasn't married. Again, you know, I asked specifically. It's the third time this week, Eco Peep.
Dave Hennessy wants to talk a bit about training. We have been around the SEO community for years. Have we heard of Josh Baczynski?
Yes. Yeah, he spoke at a few NFG events.
He is selling access to an AI SEO group. Is he known in the SEO community? Do you recommend any good general technical SEO course for devs that is fresh? So I'm going to start off by saying, before we say anything about Josh is very well known in the industry.
He worked a lot with Dory back in the day, didn't he?
I personally like Josh. Now, a lot of people, if you're hearing alternative things, because Josh talks a lot about Black Cat, you're seen as the fucking devil, or a bad guy, or whatever it might be. But I think he's a super solid guy.
He's cool.
And you know, is he known? 100%, very well known. I think he's kind of fallen off the radar in terms of public stuff that he does, because he used to do videos and all that.
Yeah,
and
that's actually how Chase got his start, Rainer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was on Josh's shit back when he was very, very first getting started. Chase was doing shows from like the basement and shit, with like the bed in the background and stuff. And then, you know, gained notoriety through Josh's show and built up, you know, to wherever he is now. I assume Chase is doing well now.
Oh, I think you guys doing solid stuff. And he's another guy. Some people love him, some hate him, but I think Chase is
Chase took the Becker route. It's like you've got to be polarizing, and that's where he went with it. So,
but one thing I want to say about Josh and anyone else, I would never disrespect another man's business model because of the way he does it and it's black hat and whatever. That's still a very sensible business model for him. And, maybe Chase does it, another way and whatever. And I think if you put your personal feelings to the side, are these guys good at what they do in terms of marketing and making money? 100%. Everyone's good at it. We've all just got our own different angles. And as I say, Josh is a solid guy, very well known, but there was a final question. Where is the best place to get good general technical SEO information for developers that is fresh? So, as we all know as well, courses do tend to hold, a slightly dated bit of information in a lot of cases. Is there anything solid you know of out there from a technical perspective?
A tech SEO? I mean, Josh is a solid tech SEO. Josh, his primary business model is doing the audits, like the in-depth tech audits and making recommendations. And I think he gets a lot of flack for not taking on said clients after that. Like he doesn't want to actually do the SEO work. I think it's just from a management perspective, he doesn't want to do that. But he's a solid tech SEO. I would check his stuff out, see if that provides what you want. If it doesn't, then either get your money back, or if it's recurring, cancel it. My thing is just try it. And if you actually do try it and it doesn't work, then move on. From a tech SEO course or anything like that, I wouldn't be able to recommend anything. I mean, I bounce shit off of Mike more than anyone from a tech SEO perspective. And, he and I have paid each other enough over the years. So
I think, I'm not sure there is a great, amazing tech SEO course that's that up to date. Now, if I've got a tech problem, and I had a slight problem with a website a couple of months back, and again, I went to Mike and I'm like, dude, I need your eyes on this. Can you just dig around and give me some feedback? So I think going about people you trust and know is a good solid way to learn things, because Mike's like a fucking Rain Man type character. He's looking at shit in a different way. But I think, leveraging people or paying someone, just some guy that says he's good at an audit, see what happens, and try and test. I paid for things and not get any value as well. But I don't think there's any good solid technical SEO course, because everyone's got a different opinion on how.
Well, it's that, and it's changing too. I mean, Mike could probably sit down and shit out a like just an evergreen tech SEO type of course, but I mean, he hasn't. So he would be the guy that I would suggest to go to, but he doesn't have that course. So I don't need anyone else aside from that. So I never look.
Anyway, we've got a few last questions. We do have about 8 minutes left. So guys, any other questions, put them in. But Adam Poland is asking, the content you produce with Quillbot, do you use these on your money sites?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. For sure. 100%. That's what the substance abuse example I used earlier, that's on a money site. Well, it's a network site, but I mean, a network site and a money site are essentially the same to me. They're both generating me money. It's a money site. But yes, I'll put it on client sites. I don't care. As long as it indexes, ranks, and converts, and we're good.
That's it. Happy days. EcoPeep has an opinion.
Yes, they are.
Writers are using AI content these days and passing it off as their own. I know guys who have their own custom-made tool, which will ping into Surfer's API and spit out shit and all that as well. So yeah, these guys that are have the ability to be able to make all that shit work are just churning out content and getting free money at that point, which is where I think AI content and everything else is just going to, you're not future-proofing your business by using it. So I think a Quillbot, or just paying a good solid writer who you know and have trained in your process, is going to give you better results.
Yeah.
Jared Abbott, how detailed are your content briefs to writers? I'm trying to scale out my content operations, and building briefs is the most time-consuming part of the process. What's your opinion on this? I think, personally, it takes time to get a good process. That time should stop a lot of other wasted time further down the line. Because if people are coming back to you, asking you questions after you've built your standard operating procedures, then your SOPs are shit. So I think you've got to take the time, do it very, very well, and it should save you a lot of time going forward. But what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's all in the training up front. Theoretically, I want my content writers to, I want to be able to have an initial onboarding call with them. Say I get a new client, and okay, what are we going to focus on in general? And then I do that, and I want them to be able to go out and develop the content plan and develop all of that. Aside from that, maybe a list of keywords. Like I'll find, again, going back to the donor article, you would find a donor site. So if it's in, say, substance abuse, I would go to someone who's ranking for all the shit that I want to rank for and say, okay, look at this, throw this in Ahrefs and say it's domain.com/opiate, but then they've got their site set up in a silo structure where it would be domain.com/opiate/heroin. If you plug just the /opiate into Ahrefs and check all the rankings, if it's a site that has solid rankings, if you plug that into Ahrefs, it's going to give you all the subdirectories as well. So there's your content plan. There's your content brief. They've actually clustered it for you if you can find the right donor website. That's what I do. I want to be able to go in there and tell them, okay, check this site out. This is what the goal is, baby. And then they just get to work.
And Randy says he uses Phrase for this. I love Phrase. I think it's a really solid tool. So I am with you on that. And I've got a thing here to say, and I know you're half joking, Adam Poland. Can I have your SOPs? Now, my SOPs will be very different to Brad's and vice versa. When you talk about content, with the last question, I am of the belief that I don't want to be too rigid in my content brief to my writer, because my writers have been trained up how to do research, how to do competitor analysis, and I need them to think for themselves. So my SOPs might be slightly less aggressive than, say, Brad, for example, who wants to have full control of what every fucking search term's going on. So
I just want them to copy what the competition is doing. Find something that's working and imitate it.
So I think in terms of SOPs, Adam, you just need to find out, like Brad's saying, is he just wants to imitate shit. He's honest enough to say, fuck it, I don't want to do that much hard work. Go and copy that shit and Quillbot it up or whatever, add to it, tweak it, whatever, job done. And if that works for him, that's the SOP right there. And who's to argue that that's any better or any worse than mine's or anyone else?
As long as you're making money.
It's all about that. And someone else may have some fucking crazy in-depth SOP that goes to a content writer and there's a whole lot of shit.
That would be one of Mike's SOPs. Yeah.
So I think using other people's SOPs, because of your mindset, my experience, will be slightly different from yours and different tools. You're obviously a big lover of COG, and I don't use COG personally. So again, there's just certain parts of that SOP which are going to be.
Have you ever bought the Ryan something? He does the blueprint training, Weber's. Yeah. Have you ever gone through his stuff?
I have seen it. Yeah.
That's about all I could do too. He's like, oh, I've got all these SOPs. I've got this. I've got that. I go through it. And you're talking about like SOPs fitting the specific person or the specific instance. I go in there. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like it was. I just purchased the SEO reporting tool, and I'm like, I watched like the first video or two. I'm like, never mind. I just wasted $100, but that's fine. I'm not going to waste any more time. So it's insane.
Yeah, insane. Anyone got a site migration tool that they trust for free and for Cloudways? I'm pretty sure Cloudways have got their own, have they not?
I would assume, yeah. I mean, if it's WordPress and I just want to migrate it, a lot of times I'll just use like WP Migration or anything like that. Any of those tools, whatever you're comfortable with, they're all the same. Copy the database over.
All-in-one migration is a good one as well. Is the one that I personally use, but you've got many. Duplicator, Adam Poland. Again, I find Duplicator a fucking headache. Like all-in-one migration, export the site, it drops a file, then you load up a new fresh WordPress website.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Fuck you. There's no fanning about. Whereas I think Duplicator makes that whole process a little harder, which is why I've always steered clear of it. But if you can figure that out, right. So this person wants to access an old site that you don't have a login for.
It'd be something like an HT track then at that point, but HT track's going to download it as an HTML file, but it would be something similar.
All-in-One wants $69 for files over 10 megabytes. I'm not sure the 10 megabytes is right, but
yeah, it depends on how much you want it too. I would spend $69 if it saves me a shit ton of time too.
Yeah, All-in-One does have unlimited capacity extension for a big fucking motherfucking website. So
yeah.
That's worth its weight in gold for $69. And that's not just per site. That's once you've got that, you can use that in 100 sites. So there you go. The same person. Not sure what that name is, but
you can't read that. Standard operating procedure.
Yeah,
kind of like your order of operations for your business.
No, their name I couldn't read.
No, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can't read it.
Yeah. But standard operating.
I don't see how you get a backwards 5 upside down G. It's not a language I speak, but that's fine.
Yeah. But Adam Poland, you're right. Do your own SOPs. Work around it. Because Brad said something, I can twist it and do it slightly differently and hopefully better. That's always the aim, to better what the other guy's telling you. And Stigs is what it says. So yeah,
clear as mud. I got you, Stigs. I do like the profile picture though.
Yeah. Who is that guy in the profile picture?
Mr. Rogers. You don't know Mr. Rogers? It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine?
The face rings a bell, but
yeah, go back and watch it. It'll trip you. It was on like PBS or something back in the day, kids show. But it was trippy as balls. Like you watch it, and it's got these like marionette puppet things, and he's like talking to him and shit. But yeah, I think he was like a Navy SEAL or Navy. Like he's got tattoos like all up here. But he played someone. It's like you know,
America's favorite father figure.
That's it. Yeah.
Fair play. Fair play.
I'll send you some Mr. Rogers later today.
Interesting. But on that note, guys, we are out of time. Randy,
2 minutes over? Am I getting overtime for this shit?
Randy,
time and a half.
Who's going to SEO Rockstars? Are you, Brad? No, I'm speaking there, and I've actually got to go after this and record my talk again. I fucking recorded the talk today for an hour, and I sent it to the video editor. And she said, "You sound like a chipmunk. The fucking audio's fucked."
Oh, that sucks.
The bastard,
you know what I would say? Fuck it. Play it anyway, Dory.
I don't understand. It's just like,
yeah, have her dub it over.
Yeah. That's a good shout.
Or just pay someone to have subtitles, and like everyone's like fucking watching it, like trying to write down the shit, like the subtitles are like fucking...
That would make it too easy for you guys in the crowd that are watching. So fuck that. Need to make it difficult. I need to throw my dodgy accent in there. So
there you go.
Guys, if you're there, I will see you via the camera. If not, then we will catch you guys next week at the same time, and hopefully with Mike. But
he'll either be recovered or dead. So one or the two. Regardless, the show must go on. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But thank you, everyone, for all the questions. And cheers again, Brad. And we'll catch you all next week.
Later on.